Hey, hello, this is Triple D's or
Daddy-daughter discussion. I'm Tyron.
I'm Giselle. And we haven't been here in a while, at least for me.
That's not true. We just podcasted a week ago.
It's been a long week. I don't know where I was last week, but...
No, you know what? I misspoke. It's been, a week. The week prior we did podcast.
It's been a long week.
Yeah, so... And we enjoy our podcast, and this is something that's not only liberating, but it's good counsel for myself.
Like I remember it was like a couple days ago. I'm like, man, what should we talk about for our podcast? I should bring that up. I really want to do a podcast. We haven't done one in a while.
Exactly.
So
with that being said, what did you want to? What's today's discussion?
Well, today is more like last time we kind of did a self-reflection. I want to do an outward reflection. Like new school year's coming up. Mm-hmm. It's Adi's first year in college at SMU.
SMU.
And then Bella's first year in high school. So it's a lot of firsts for everybody.
Yeah, that's true.
This is my first time out being around Adi 24/7.
I know. First time you're going to be driving to my house and your sister alone.
Yeah, but a lot of firsts. I just want to talk about that, get it out of my system.
Well, let's do it. Let's do it. Where you want to start?
I'm going to start people.
Okay.
I've seen a lot of growth in everybody around me.
Okay.
Like for Adi, she's grown. She's always been mature, but I've seen her taking that mature mantle on more. Like, she's doing a lot more adult things than I'm used to. And she can act very mature and adultish, which I still have to get used to.
It is funny you say that because she's only 18. You 17. And I think, I guess when you're looking at it from you said not introspective, outer perspective, I guess what you're realizing is she's about to be on her own. Mm-hmm. And it makes you feel like she's more adultish, as the word you just used, didn't you?
Yeah.
But is that really a real reality?
What do you mean?
Well, meaning, what is it that she is doing, can do, that you can't, that you can't do, or two, that makes you feel that she is more, I don't like to use, is more mature, because that's, wherever you say adulthood is, it's mature, it's more mature than you.
Well, it's not like I can't do it, it's just she likes to do it. She wants to do it, and it's like, I guess that's still that kid in me. I'm only 17.
Like what task?
She likes to go everywhere now.
Oh, that's not being mature. That's just
being
a teenager. She just want to get out.
Not everywhere, like going to the mall and stuff. Like she goes everywhere to do, like, she got her car windows tinted. She got her license done. She got a car, and she's like doing all this stuff with the bank and all that. And she's already talking to, like, I'm not used to her talking to so many other people, and she's just communicating with them all the time. And I know, like, friends is something you have when you're a kid, but for me and Adi, so
it sounds like you feel a little left out.
It's not being left out, more left behind. Because I know I'm gonna catch up. Like, we're only a year apart.
Yeah.
It's gonna be my turn this coming year.
Yeah.
But it's just like that gap in between. It's just like that. Oh.
Well, because you guys been doing everything together from, and I think this is the first year that I have noticed that you guys kind of found your own space and your own little. Y'all had different things that y'all enjoy doing, but you guys used to do those things together. But now y'all just doing it by yourself. Mm-hmm. So I think, when I look at it, not only has she matured, you have matured.
Thank you very much.
I'm not saying that as no compliment.
I'm gonna take it
I think it's supposed to happen, but because I think it's supposed to happen doesn't mean it happens with everybody. So So when you started talking about, when you said that you want to talk about this, you initially was talking about Bella.
Yeah, because I had written like, I don't know what year. I think it was like either before I entered high school, but I wrote this thing about all my observations about you guys, and Bella was like the main focus. Like, I remember writing, she's coming out of her shell slowly. Like, I could see her eye through the eggshell. I see her now. Like, I just realized, like, I was looking at old pictures of her, and I'm like, God, Bella's grown up.
That's I like how that analogy you use. It's like almost like a chicken coming out the egg. Like, you know it's life and you know it's there, but I think now she's fully out.
Yeah, just to see it, like, I saw the transition, but to see, it's not even the ending. She's still a chicken.
She's full of display. Yeah, I get it. So that's interesting. What about me? That's observations.
I think you've grown into yourself more. It's
Really?
like, I believe, I don't think it's like just me. I think a lot of people see this. Like, there's multiple puberties. Like, Bella's entering hers. Ida's going through her second puberty, like in her 20s, and you're going through maybe your last puberty. So I don't know, but I feel like you come into yourself during this puberty time.
Well, I think you and I talked about transformation. So when you look at puberty, and when you look up the word and you look at the root or the genesis of the word, it actually means that you're growing into something, right? So I don't know, if it's scientific that we go through different puberties and stages per se, but what I do know is we're gonna continuously change. Right?
Yeah.
The more you're accepting of it, right? So I could say for me, looking out from the outside, looking in from your observation, is I think now I'm more accepting of certain things, right? One of the biggest things, and we'll probably talk about this in the next podcast, and I was talking about one of the things I'm more accepting of now is the femininity energy. Right, and you know me, I like to what does that look like? What does masculine and feminine energy look like? And you know me, I'm sorry, I gotta get some water.
The retainers.
Not really. So I like to compare the masculine and feminine energy to the sun and moon. So when I look at the sun, I look at that as a masculine energy. And I'll tell you why. So the sun, it projects. It's very active. It's giving. It's going to always just give. Whether it's time, money, and it'll just give until it's given out, right? It's expansive. It's huge. You feel my presence everywhere you at as a little girl. I'm confident enough to say that. And it's outward. Whereas the feminine energy, as the moon, is very receptive. Meaning, do you know the only reason you got a glare from the moon is from it's lights and stuff coming from Earth and it's reflective, right? And I didn't, and that's science. You can look that up. It's passive. Right? Meaning it's not going to be as aggressive. It's going to be cautious, right? It's not just going to go for the gusto immediately. Contractive, meaning it's going to grow and expand things in your life or in yourself. So I'm talking about the feminine energy. Intuitive, and very feelings and really living off of that. I'm more on that logical side, and I struggle with that a lot. And inward, always looking within. Hence the thing we're talking about today, right? And this came from you, right? So I think when I look at me, what you just said is me recognizing a lot and embracing more of my feminine energy. And I'll tell you why. A lot of it has to do with me as being a father and seeing how y'all respond to it. It's almost like y'all crave it from me. So maybe I was a little too masculine. if that's such a thing, and I think we all struggle with it. I think, probably you as a young lady, you probably gonna be more just over feminine, and to the point where you don't want to make logical decisions. You're gonna base it off of feelings. It's not healthy.
Yeah.
I'm saying, I'm speaking hyperbole, like hypothetically. I'm not saying that's who you are. So, what's your thoughts?
For you, I agree. Because I remember, like, when we were younger, I feel like you were a bit insecure. Like,
Insecure?
Yeah, you would always ask us, are you embarrassed of me? But then, like, as we got older, those questions kind of...
Insecure?
Like, you'd always ask, are you embarrassed of me? Of how I act, of what I say sometimes? And I always have to, like, no, I'm not. And, like, I think as we got older, you grew into yourself more. You're kind of like... You knew yourself better. Like, you became the son.
Interesting.
And you stopped kind of asking those questions. And I've noticed that over the years. Like, he doesn't ask me anymore. I'm glad. Because, like, every time I see those texts, I'd be sad. Like, don't be. I'm not embarrassed of you. Don't ever feel like you are.
That's the funny thing. That's not why I was asking those questions. Not at all. But... that's that feminine energy in you that wants to be compassionate and feel like that's not why I was asking. I'm overly aggressive. Honestly, I didn't care what other people thought of me. But at the end of the day, I know who I am, and being an unapologetic black man can make you guys feel uneasy around, and I didn't want that. I wanted to respect you, your sisters. That's why I asked that. That was a little bit of my feminine side, femininity, and that's me being reflective.
And I think...
But in terms of being insecure, no, I'm telling you, I'm a very, very secure man.
That was just your feminine energy coming out and being like, how do they feel about this?
Yeah, that was my first time, my aha moments, like really trying to, I guess that, I was a little selfish. Like, I should care, like, how I am. I'm unapologetic. I love my people. I love all people. I love all humanity, period. But if I see something wrong, I'm going to probably say something about it. But I have to be mindful that you guys were still growing into yourself as young ladies. And then you got your little white, Spanish, or even black friends. And I'm saying something, you're like, dang, daddy. So so it wasn't coming from insecurity.
Got it.
But that's good. I'm glad you even brought that up. And because, the fact that because what you'll do next time, like when you're dealing with a man, it might be your future husband or your boyfriend, and he's sharing something with you. He might not be sharing it because he might feel insecure. He might be sharing it because he's thinking about how you're going to feel, and he don't want you. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I see it. Oh.
But that's okay. I'm not. That's why we're not having this podcast. Like I told you, this podcast is therapeutic. So maybe you saying that to me, like, okay, well, no, I wasn't that, but I can see why you can take that stance, and it makes sense. It makes perfect sense. What about you when you look from your inward perspective, and what are some things that I think I mentioned maturing. What are some other things that you notice about yourself?
Well, I've always, when I was younger, I would say, I'm fine with being alone. I'm fine.
There you go with this younger thing. Like, you're so... Go ahead.
But, years, 4 years in a career of high school, it takes some years off of you. But, I remember even in 9th grade, I'd be like, I'm fine with being alone and not having anybody to talk to. I wasn't fine. No, I didn't like it.
Yeah, you was projecting.
Yeah, I wanted to put myself out there, but I was too scared.
Yeah.
But I see, as I got older, I'm like, I gotta be comfortable with myself. And I saw it a lot this year. I was comfortable with myself. If you didn't want to talk to me, that was fine. But if you did, I'll open myself up. I'm still not at the point where I could just outwardly go out to people. I'm not.
And maybe that might not ever be you, right? But two things you said, was you was afraid, fear, false evidence appearing to be real. You don't even know what you was afraid of. You just being afraid. But that fear came from your insecurities. Yeah. Would they like me? Do they think, I guess, thinking about it, this is not a counseling session because we're doing introspective look. What were some things that you was afraid that they would say or do?
It was never like a fear if they wouldn't like me, because I think even as a kid I knew I'm stuck with myself. Like this is who I am. I think it was more like, what if I let them in and they leave me? And then they talk about me behind my back. Like, even when I was younger, I'd imagine myself in relationships. I'm like, I can't get that close to you because what if you leave me? You have all these secrets I gave you. Like, I can't trust you.
I don't know where that come from. Is that something, do you ever feel abandoned by me and your mom?
Not really.
I don't know where that come from.
Like, not like never abandonment. It's more like, there's some things in me I want to keep. Like,
and that's fine.
That's precious, and I don't want you to just like.
That's fine.
Take it.
Do you think that every person, like everybody know, I've only had 3 girlfriends in my life, and I married one. I had a lot of women that I talked to, kicked it with, and I can just be transparent, had sex with, but like with 3. And even within that is a part of what you just said, right? Everybody is not entitled, because this is something that I want to get. Everybody's not entitled to be in a certain space of knowing certain vulnerability areas that I have. And that's including family. You girls, you guys got all of me. But that doesn't mean like my brothers and my mom and my dad, they don't have, that's some spaces that they don't know about me. So I say all that to say, give yourself grace. It's okay to be that. That's not abnormal. I believe if everybody really be honest with themselves, we're all like that. Who really want to just put themselves out there like that? But with the other side of that coin, putting yourself out, the only way you're gonna grow is by putting yourself out there, right? Because there might be some things that person, he or she might point out that you get, because we got these blind spots, right? Yeah, and it might be a blind spot. It might hurt you, but you can grow from it.
Okay.
And that is that to me, that's the start point of being a mature person. For you to be a mature woman, for me to be a mature man, and that's allowing myself to allow the light to be shined upon. Because you might think it as a vulnerability, but it might be a blind spot that you need to address.
Like, I've seen it a lot this year. Some of my like blind spots, like I pull away too fast. Like, I'm looking for not a mistake, but like any type of little thing. And it's like, I guess commitment issues.
It can be that, or like I said, you just said it. You're fearful, so it's easy to run. My thing is, we're not gonna do this on this podcast. I'm trying to figure out where it comes from, because you got those different attachment styles, and that is generated or came from being your mom, and I can look at my side, my part. We did divorce while you guys was a little young, and I did leave. I was in another state, and I always felt, and you can tell me if I'm wrong because I don't want to speak for you, that you was trying to be perfect because you didn't want me to leave and mess up or be mad at you or disappointed. I always sense that. That's one of the reasons, like, if you just notice, now that we're really talking about it, I pick on everybody, even you to a certain point, but not too much, because I know
I'm sensitive. Not
that you're sensitive, that a little bit that you have shown me is you always want to, not only, you probably do this with your mom too, but you want to please us. Yeah, that's what you have shown me, and I could be wrong. So I want to say, I don't want to put words in your mouth. So what I just said, does it resonate?
Kind of.
Yeah. So it probably came from me and your mom. And so the only way you can get out of that is look at us now. So you had a start point But if it stayed there, if you still got that, you know what I say, if you believe something so strongly and it doesn't match your reality, you got to be mature enough
to recognize, like,
to question why you believe, So right now, that doesn't match your reality, how me and your mom is with you. So you have to ask yourself, why am I still this way? And pull out. That's the first thing, is recognizing it, right? Second thing is pulling yourself out of it is what you're doing. Going and approaching, going and talk to people. Third is you just continue to be more, you be very intentional by it. Those three things. Sounds simple.
It was hard.
It's hard. It's hard.
Like every year you go into school, like, I'm going to be the greatest and make all these friends, and you go there and you're like,
because you're going to be,
been here 4 years and it still makes me nervous walking to that first class.
I'm the same. You know what? I think, see, you guys looking at me from a perspective as a, because you guys see such confidence all the time, but that's not the case.
Yeah, we weren't with you when you were still kind of.
Yeah, and even now. You don't think I'm, looking smooth over a lake like a duck, but under the water, I'm paddling hard, Underneath the surface, I'm shredding. I'm like, ooh. So I'm not as smooth all the time. On the outside surface.
It looks graceful.
Yeah. Now, I'm bold enough now to say those things, right? And that was a level of maturity, and that didn't probably come until... I can tell you, 2000, after I got diagnosed with cancer, that really changed how I seen the world. So, but I like the fact, I'm still going back to what you said about Bella. That was interesting.
I remember, like, that's what I wrote about her. Like, she's still in her shell. I see the cracks, and I can't wait to see what comes out.
Yeah. Do you feel that Bella is... Are you afraid that Bella's gonna catch you faster than you caught Adi? Okay, good.
It was never like a thing like I'm catching Adi. Like when people said, "Oh, I thought you were the oldest," I knew deep down she's my older sister. Like I think Adi had to struggle with it, but I knew deep down I was never trying to capture her. She's my older sister, and it's the same with Bella. No matter what others say, like, "Oh, she's so more mature. She's doing all these things." She's my younger sister. That's how I'm gonna see her. She's my baby sister.
She's your baby. And, and that's the same with, I have that same struggle. That's why I was able to, relate to Adiana, because they thought my brothers are, even to this day, that I'm the youngest. They don't know me, right? Like, who is it? Oh, you Sarah's brother, right?
Yeah.
But that's okay, because I can deal with it. So, So you, Adi, and Bella have that similarity that me and my brothers had. So I totally understand where you're coming from.
I'm like the middle, so I don't get the insecurities of the oldest and like the courage of the youngest. I'm right in the middle.
Oh yeah, yes.
So I see both. I am both, but.
And that is why it's funny how you place that. Now I look back and I look now. That's probably why I come at Adi the way I come at Adi, because I know she's been, and I got to push her. And I come at Bella because I have to humble her.
Bella needs some humble.
I have to humble her. Like, no. Yeah, your teeth yellow right now. Don't think you ain't pretty as you think you are. Just hypothetically, and then for you, I had to come at both angles. It's a delicate balance.
Tango.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's a tango. So, but this podcast, when we started in October, I've seen you come out your shell. When I look from inward, this is something that when I said that we needed to do it, I was trying to figure out how to get you out. To show the confidence is there, but then I can also see the overcompensation. Like you overdo something, like you very confident, but you scared as heck. Right? But I wanted you to be able to articulate and express your feelings.
I'm glad you approached me, because even at that time I was thinking like I need an outlet to express myself, but I don't know that outlet. And then you came up with this podcast. I'm like, yeah, let me do that. Like, I was thinking about it in my room. I'm like, yeah, I actually do want to do that podcast. Let me say yes.
Yep. And that's what it's all about. So that's that feminine energy that was coming out of me, is being intuitive, listening, because everything in me told, like, it just came out. It was like in me, like I woke up with it, and I told you, I woke up that we need to do a podcast. And I went with it. Like, let's do a podcast. I didn't have a clue what we was going to talk about, what we was going to do. I just know you and I needed to do a podcast.
Yeah.
And here we are.
I'm glad that feminine energy came out when it did.
Yeah. And to be very transparent to our audience, how I see feminine energy and masculine energy is just how I see it. This is from my life experiences, right? And me taking account, even when I knew it was lacking. Right, but that's just my walk. Yeah. Your walk might be different. Even people from the audience different. I want to put that out there because most of the time, when I say things, people want to be combative. And I always say, yeah, I feel, this is what I feel, this is what I think.
Like, but they can't change your belief.
Yeah. I'm not trying, how can you prove a feminine energy or masculine energy? It's a concept.
Yeah, it comes out in so many different ways. Yeah. That's when, like, you can't put a label on it.
Yeah. So I just say it because it matches my reality. Mm. And if it matches my reality, I'm going with it. Mm. The moment it stopped matching my reality, I might need to question it, just like we just told you. That I just told you.
I think a lot of that is just people's confidence in themselves. It's like a lot of people, they shape their realities based on like the mainstream or like how media sees them to perceive it. And like when someone's different or like doesn't match it in that very specific way, they're kind of like, they're not confident in what they believe themselves, and they have to come at you like, you're wrong, like this is how it is. It's like a lot of these definitions, it's like, it's open for interpretation.
Exactly. And the funny thing is, a lot of people, you would think, I wish people would do that. It's not many people like you, they don't come at me like that. They might come at me around somebody, or they avoid me. And then I broach the subject like, did I say something that? And then it comes out. It's almost like that tells me what you just said. They're not confident in what they believe. And I say it with such confidence that they think it's truth, hence that's that area with you. That's why it's important that you gotta allow people to know you. You guys know, and most people know that's in my life, that I tell you guys what is a belief to me.
Something that is, I don't know how to describe it.
Something that I feel that's true.
Yeah, it's not fact.
That doesn't mean it's fact. And knowing is something that I can prove.
It's true. You could search it up in a book. You can see it in real life.
Yeah, it's proof. Yeah. So, fire will burn you if it hits you.
You could try it.
You might think you are the magic man or magic woman and gonna walk through it, but the probability is very, very low.
Yeah, it's very low that you're that girl from Game of Thrones. Very low.
Exactly. So. And I think that's, I like that. You still haven't watched Game of Thrones.
I started it, but I couldn't. And then you took the HBO, and I don't know if it's on. I don't know if it's on Prime Video.
Y'all got HBO? Adi didn't share.
No,
we'll talk about it in a bit.
Okay. Yeah.
But what I was about to say. Yeah, it's oh man, we start talking about Game of Thrones. Oh yeah, so the belief in the knowing, and when people really understand that, because I say that all the time. I'm very intentional with it. Yeah, I believe, and then I say, you know what? I know that this is da 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 da. I do that all the time. It's part of my vocabulary. It's just who I am now, and I start doing that a lot because I had to match my reality. I had to realize when people, and it helps me when people talk and they say they believe, I automatically know that's just where they at.
Like, I think that's part of like my growing up. Like, I felt it, like when someone said something, I would kind of believe them and go with that because I didn't have my own beliefs. And like when you're taking like those questionnaires about yourself, I'd always go maybe, somewhat me, somewhat not. But like as I'm growing up, I see I'm more assertive of who I am. Like it's more yes or no instead of maybe. I think that's part of growing up.
Absolutely.
Like I'm not there yet where I could like kind of spy my belief on complex topics like feminine and masculine energy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still kind of like
you're finding it.
Yeah, I'm still finding it.
You're finding it, and I think. Which is interesting that you just said it because since you guys was little, I know y'all hate it. Y'all probably won't raise y'all kids like this. I tell you something, and I force you guys to go research it. Like, don't believe me just because I said it.
Yeah, it didn't have an impact then, but now it's kind of having its own impact. It was kind of a long-term plan.
And that's fine. And I did that. I was intentional because I was intent on developing young women that had their own mind. And even if you believe something that your dad or your mom don't believe, if it's working for you, it's working for you. What works for me, works for me. You know, whether that's a religion, whether that's what you eat, whatever. If you believe, like when you was talking about that fat girl summer. Yeah, I was like, yeah, your reality gonna show you. I was like, oh yeah. She gonna be like, Daddy, why you let me have that fat girl summer? You gonna be
it's gonna be years from now. And you're like, Dad, remember that fat girl summer? Why didn't you stop?
Like, you believe that you're gonna be okay. So I let you live in that reality. Oh my God. But I think the next conversation we're gonna have, I want to talk about feminine and masculinity, femininity, but from a relationship perspective. You and I really haven't talked about that male, woman, female relationships or whatever, and I want to know your thoughts.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah, I got my thoughts, and we're gonna dabble into whether it's intimacy, whether it's whatever. We're gonna go wherever it leads us. It's us, but I think we definitely need to talk about that because you're at that age that shaping things that I'm not shaping, you shaping how you see relationships is important, right? You already have it, you just don't realize it because it was shaped so young with me and your mom, with you, and what you seen, even from when we was married till we divorced. People would be like, y'all divorced? You right? You already seen healthy things that you can perceive to be healthy. You probably seen some things you can perceive to be unhealthy.
Like, I remember I was telling this girl, like, yeah, my parents are divorced. Really? Your parents are divorced? I would have guessed. So I've seen healthy relationships.
Yeah, you have seen it. And you've seen what it takes, right? So we'll talk about that.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah. And, like we always do, my dear, no notes.
No.
We're just coming out from the rip, just coming out shooting, guns blazing.
That's how professional I am. I'm an expert at this.
But this particular subject, I want you to do some research on, because like you said, you might not have enough lived experience to have, whatever view, you're gonna have your views, but it might not match your lived experience. It might be, you got to question like, where's that view coming from, right? So with this particular conversation, it's never about right or wrong. I think this one should be more or less along the line, some stuff that you looked up, and you can ask me some stuff that my lived experience versus things that I've read, and I can give you that. Okay, but until the next time.
This is the Triple D's for
Daddy-Daughter Discussion.